To understand the age gaps in Little Woman, we need to go to the very beginning. The year is 1796. That is when Goethe's novel, Wilhelm Meister's Apprenticeship, was published. Wilhelm Meister was Louisa's favorite novel. She used to read it as a child, and she borrowed it from Ralph Waldo Emerson's library. When Louisa turned 18, Emerson gave her a copy of Wilhelm Meister as a birthday gift, so she could study character. In Little Woman, Friedrich gives Jo a copy of Shakespeare's work, so she can study character. Wilhelm Meister is considered to be world's first coming-of-age novel. Little Woman was one of the many novels that was inspired by it. Wilhelm is somewhat a Laurie type of character. He's a young man and he longs to become an actor, but Wilhelm's father wants him to become a businessman. And it's like what Laurie says in the book, quote, "I want to go to Italy, play music and enjoy myself." Wilhelm is having an affair with a passionate actress called Mariana, but Mariana doesn't seem to be very serious about their relationship. The book doesn't mention Mariana's age, but I imagined her to be a couple years older than Wilhelm, because at least at the beginning of the novel, Wilhelm is written to be quite naive, and then he grows as the novel progresses. There's a funny scene where Wilhelm is giving this long monologue about how he made a puppeteer play as a child, and Mariana is pretending to be interested, but she's like half asleep. Then there's another scene which I guess is supposed to be romantic, where he goes to Mariana's house. He wants to sing her a serenade, but she is not at home. Wilhelm kisses the doormat and the doorknob. Sometimes Goethe, in a way, criticizes his characters when they are being overly romantic. It did remind me of the scene in Little Woman where Laurie wanted to compose the opera that would rouse Jo's soul and melt her heart, and when he starts, he could only think of Jo's unflattering features. And that is something that happens to Wilhelm in the end. He remembers Mariana's less flattering features. This was Louisa May Alcott's favorite book that she read as a child. Wilhelm runs away and joins a traveling theater company, and on his journey he saves a young girl called Mignon. Mignon is about 13 at the beginning of the novel. Like Jo, she dresses like a boy. She also has a disability. Nobody knows where she's from. She speaks with an accent, and she has difficulties forming words and expressing herself. Hello, friends. It is Nina from the Little Woman podcast. Just to let you all know that the Little Woman podcast episode transcripts are now available as books. You can find them as paperbacks and ebooks. They are wonderful reading for all the fans of Louisa May Alcott. You can find all the links from the description. And now, back to the show. Mignon falls in love with Wilhelm. I don't think the book ever mentions Wilhelm's exact age, but I'd say he was in his early 20s when the novel begins. During his, quote, apprenticeship, Wilhelm gets involved in all kinds of drama. There are the love triangles between the actors, and at one point he falls in love with the dangerous countess, and then he gets involved in a secret society. All kinds of crazy things happen to him. Wilhelm is attracted to Mignon. He finds her funny and fascinating, but it is more of a father-daughter type of relationship. She cannot express her emotions to him, and she is quite upset when she sees Wilhelm with other women. Mignon wants to be his lover, but she dies a tragic death before she reaches adulthood. Goethe captured Mignon's passing in a song called Kennst du das Land? Do you know the land? In Little Woman, this song is always reprised in Jo's and Friedrich's encounters. You know how some couples have their own songs? Well, this is Jo's and Friedrich's love song. When Jo sees Friedrich for the first time in New York, he is singing Kennst du das Land, and Jo knows this song because he is a big fan of Goethe. When they reunite in Concord a couple years later, Jo says, "Now we must finish with Mignon's song for Mr. Bear sings that," said Jo. Before the pause grew painful, Mr. Bear cleared his throat with a gratified hum as he stepped into the corner where Jo stood, saying, "You will sing with me, we go excellently well together." A pleasing fiction, by the way, for Jo had no more idea of music than a grasshopper, but she would have consented if he had proposed to sing a whole opera and wobbled away peacefully, regardless of the time and tune. It didn't matter much, for Mr. Bear sang like a true German, heartily and well, and Jo soon subsided into a subdued hum, that she might listen to the mellow voice that seemed to sing her alone. Note, "The land where the citron blooms" used to be Professor's favorite line, for das Land meant Germany to him, but now he seemed to dwell with peculiar warmth and melody upon the words. "There, oh there, might with thee I, oh my beloved, go." And one listener was so thrilled by the tender invitation that she longed to say she did know the land, and would joyfully depart thither whenever he liked. End quote. And people say that Jo and Friedrich are not romantic. In the end, Wilhelm falls in love with Natalia, who is the Amy archetype of the story. She inspires him to better himself and leave that toxic life of a drifter behind him. Louisa May Alcott was a transcendentalist, and the transcendentalist view on love was that love could help a person to grow or to evolve so that they could better themselves. When two people fell in love, they would create something better together.